At White Hat SEO Services. Thank you for tuning in. Today, the topic will be about SEO reports. How do we create one? Believe it or not, SEO reports or reports in general are probably, if not, the most important thing. You gotta be able to track your performance, your SEO campaigns, right? If you don't know how to track it, um, then what's the point of doing SEO to begin with? So I want to talk about it, just let you guys know what to consider and understand that if you're consultants, you work with clients, there's definitely things that you need to be aware of, like how to communicate SEO data and kind of tell the story to C-level executives or business owners who may not really understand SEO or digital marketing sometimes. So it's so important that you kind of like align with what they do know so that they can understand what you're trying to express. And obviously I'm still learning myself too. Different audience, different people that you are presenting the reports to obviously have different ways of understanding what you're trying to say. So understanding how to tailor your report to different audiences is the key to having a successful SEO report. So we're going to talk about, let's start out with making sure we have a clear focus and on the same page objective with your audience, whoever it may be, right? Because if you don't have this, it will almost be like you're presenting information, data to them, but they will get lost very easily. So it's very important to start off with agreed upon goal, right? Objective. Some of the things you can consider for goals is obviously like traffic, which is probably the most essential and most common goal. Traffic. Why? Because in marketing in general, like it's almost like impressions, right? Or sorry, clicks. So clicks in search is like traffic. So it's not just impressions technically when you think about it, right? Impressions really like do people see it, right? Views, etc., right? But there's not really any interactions. So traffic is really, from an SEO standpoint, is when people click into the web property. When they click, okay. So do they get into the website, let's say, or app, or any other web properties based on what they search, like in Google search or Yandex for Russia, etc. And did they click? If they click, it counts as a traffic. Okay. So in some sense, why people want to choose traffic? Well, if you don't have enough traffic, if you're not really hitting that top awareness marketing funnel yet, there's no point of going further down to like consideration, purchase, etc., right? Because that funnel, the way it works is the more you have up here, the more you're going to get down there, right? But if you don't have enough, guess what? You're not going to get a lot of people who's going to convert. So sometimes a lot of clients, they tend to think like, oh, I just want conversion. And we focus on conversion and not knowing the problem is up here, and that's why conversion never go up either. All right, so it's so important that we understand, obviously conversion is going to be important, but if you don't even have that traffic, set in stone, it's in a good position, you're not going to get those conversions. That's just how it is. That's how marketing works. So before you guys think about, hey, should I set to conversions yet? Question yourself, how's my traffic doing, right? Conversions obviously is the most important thing, right, for business, sales, right? If you do a website and app download, did people download the app? Did people buy your product, right? What's the point of getting traffic into your web properties and there's no conversions, right? And that's what we call, if people that viewers, traffic that come in that don't convert, low quality traffic, technically speaking, right? But not always the case, because every traffic doesn't need to convert right away. There's a journey, consumer journey process. But anyway, so sometimes it is still makes sense to set a goal for conversion, especially when your traffic is really in good standing, right? And if you don't set conversion, you're probably going to get that question again. All right, great, our traffic went up really good, but where's the conversions, right? All right, so it's actually two separate strategies when it comes to traffic goal, when it comes to conversion goal, right? For instance, when we are targeting keywords, traffic boosts, it makes a lot more sense sometimes to just go broad and wide, right? Because that's where most people are searching, and you're gonna hit a lot more topics and different audience, new users, new people that might come to your site. Um, Now, conversion on the other end is usually more specific niche keywords that we target that have lower search volume. All right, but they tend to people who search longer terms because they already probably did the homework already, right? If they search for Apple, let's say, they probably won't search for Apple again if they don't know that, oh, I'm looking for that Apple Vision Pro, that new MR headset device, right? And even further, they might even type, okay, when can I buy Apple Vision Pro, for instance, right? So when they search something like that, that's almost telling you that they're going to more likely buy, like at least 50% chance of buying, right? So understand there's different keyword strategy for different types of goals. Third thing is search engine results page, or what we call SERP visibility. What does that mean? Well, so understand on the first page, let's say on your mobile phone or desktop, the first 10 positions, even though Google, let's say, is trying to remove it, they haven't really removed it because I still see search results that still, don't show the infinite scrolling where there is no, second page, third page anymore. I still do see their search results that do have the pagination still. So in my opinion, there is still kind of that first page. So let's say if you want to try to rank for a keyword on the first page, it's actually very important to understand that you're not just trying to rank for the position 1. Because back then, position 1 was getting like 30-40% of the clicks in, all right? But nowadays, it's getting like 20% or less because voice search, all right? People start searching and they don't click because they're asking for something and they just want an answer. If Google can give you that quick answer, that position 0 top position, paragraph snippet, sometimes you see it, they're not going, there's no point for them to click on anything else, right? So that's why it's also important to understand that first page is almost like your free, advertisement board. You're trying to put as many of your content on that first page. All right, not just that first position. Even though we always think, oh, position gets the most traffic, great. But when you think about it, the more positions you are positioned for, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, etc., you're going to get more clicks overall. So that's why it's important to understand that, how much of that, top 10 positions do you own? How many percentage of that do you own? All right, and you need to consider not just websites, because Google only allows at most, I think it's 1 or 2 domains of the same domain to rank for the same keyword, etc. So you might need to consider social media platforms like Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, right? Facebook. Well, Facebook is not entirely open, but if you log in, you could technically see content in Facebook. But other things like Google Maps for local SEO, Wikipedia, because the knowledge panel, they post a lot of information on Wikipedia, or even WebMD and IMDb. It really depends on what industry you're in and what's the trusted database source for that topic. There's other properties, forums, right? Reddit, and there's other properties from the media side, obviously, news sites, even niche news media site like TechCrunch, let's say. So these are things you need to think about when you're trying to own organic search landscape. All right, it's not just building a website. That's it. No, it's this offsite. It's more than just your own website. It's how do you use other web properties to own that top position, and that's how really boost your overall traffic growth. Last but not least, engagement. More and more these days, engagement has been a lot more important for in the radar for SEO experts, because back then, we always guesstimated or reverse engineered that the algorithm, Google's algorithm, is focused around click-through rate. The higher the click-through rate, it's probably one of the factors still in the algorithm. But they realized if people click in and they bounce out, which is almost like, you go in 30 seconds and you leave, things like that, or maybe less than a second, 1 second, then it's not a good engagement. It's not just because you click on the link when you search. If people just look at it and they don't like what they see, they don't do anything, they don't scroll down to read more, they don't interact with the links, they don't convert, right? To Google, it means that there's no value at that page anyway. So now it's more than just, are people clicking into your web properties, but also are people engaging? Are they staying long enough? Are they going to other pages, right? Pages per session, pages per visits. Are they not bouncing out, right? Are they interacting with the web page? And Google in GA4, Google Analytics 4 now, it's all about events, right? So every interaction on that page could be an event. So the more events you have, the better the page is. All right. So the next part is establishing KPIs. It's very important because, right, it's business. Business is always about KPIs, ROIs, return on your investment, right? And if you don't have key performance indicators, how are you going to get that return? So it's very important that SEO do have KPIs. I kind of mentioned these before, right? Organic traffic, which is essentially clicks. You can also look at views, right? How many times are people, staying on your page and looking at your content? That's considered views. Because clicks, it doesn't matter if they bounce out, really. It's still a click. But views is usually, or sessions is when people click and they have good engagement, right, afterwards. That's considered a view. You can also look at new and returning visitors, right? It's important for websites that care about increasing more and more audiences, right? So for someone for a business that sells, like, I don't know, TV monitor, sorry, not TV monitor, a TV, right? Even though it's trending down, they're not gonna buy like every year, right? It wouldn't make sense to buy a TV every year, or computer, let's say. Then it's important to understand how can they increase new audience to their website. Now, on the other hand, if your business is like toilet paper, I don't know, this came up with my mind, you're probably going to buy quite often. And the trend is, in certain demographics like rural areas, they're not going to want to travel to a physical store and buy toilet paper every week or every month at least. So returning visitors is going to be important for this industry, right? How do we keep them coming back to buy our products? And then, I mentioned clicks. Impressions still important, right? Impressions still important. The more impressions you're going to have, then more likely people are going to click. So what does impression mean for SEO though? Impression just means that if your web property is ranking in Google's results, doesn't matter if you're on the first page. You could be on the second, third page, or you could be on the 100th page. As long as this showing up in the search result, that's an impression, all right? So understand that. And then click-through rate, obviously, the more clicks you have per each impression, the better it is. Well, typically speaking, it really depends on the situation, because sometimes you can have low click-through rate, but you're still doing better than previously because you're getting rid of the low quality traffic, right? Anyway, engagement, page speed is important, right? Google officially has made page speed an algorithm factor. If you're technically you don't want to be less than like 4 seconds. More than 4 seconds. They say that each additional second after 3 seconds, it could drop like 20% of conversion. And this is based on Google's study a few years ago, or maybe a decade ago. But believe it or not, because It's just our behavior. We're so used to fast loading sites, and if you're trying to convert, and all of a sudden your site's loading, and you're like, "What's going on? Did I convert already? Maybe." and then you bounce out, right? You purchase, you fill in a credit card, and then it's loading, right? Then you don't know. Oh, maybe it already went through, so you just leave, right? So that's a problem. People, a lot of businesses don't understand that, like how sensitive it is for, e-commerce sites when it comes to page speed. Even news sites, because every news site is so fast. If your news site is slower than CNN, New York Times, let's say, guess what? They're not going to stay on your news media site because they're so used to fast loading content, right? But in terms of engagement, it's like I said, GA4 is now about events, right? And I mentioned this before. How long you stay is ideally you kind of want to stay at least 30 seconds. I can't imagine a content that's not less than 30. That's less than 30 seconds, unless it's like a doorway page, which is not really recommended. What's the point of a doorway page, right? You just go and send someone to another page quickly. But most of the time, you want to stay around like a minute to maybe 2 minutes. That's really the golden time frame. Scroll depth is going to be important, right? People scroll all the way to the bottom or not. What's the point if you create this long content? No one really scrolls down to the bottom of it, where it's really where the conversion is too most of the time. So you gotta watch out for that, all right? And then events per visit. Well, I mentioned views. Set pages per session. It's kind of like now. So like, how many events do people interact with, make per visit? Now that's also important. Conversion is not just how many people buy, frequency of buying and the amount of downloads, for instance, but it's also the conversion rate, right? You gotta look at every time people come in, what's the percentage of people that are converting. That's also important. Keyword ranking, obviously, this is probably very well known to most people who do SEO. You could actually set KPIs for how many keywords are on page 1, page 2, page 3 to top 3, right? Because it's not realistic to say, hey, I'm going to just go straight for page 1 position, because it's not. It's very difficult, especially for small businesses. You want to go straight to page 1, it wouldn't make sense. You should be thinking about page 3 first, because if you don't even make it to page 3 or page 2, then what's the point of looking at page 1? It's kind of like when I was talking about that marketing funnel, right? If you want to go for conversion, but your traffic already has problems, then you're not going to make it any better if you just focus on conversions. You need to focus here, right? Same concept. So in terms of rankings, you can also break keywords into categories, which is I would highly recommend, because then you can see more clearly the keyword groups and categories are doing well and not. And then these two are a little bit more, I guess, more mature and advanced clients that work with SEO have really focused on technically you can use technical KPIs. How many of your website are getting indexed, if that's an issue in the past, right? If you have a lot of content like news site, it's going to be very important. And then errors, right? Are all the pages getting crawled properly? Are they getting 404s that need to be redirected, or is there a duplicate content, which is really bad for SEO, because you don't want duplicate content cannibalizing your original content ranking performance, right? It needs to be ranking in the top position, but because you have duplicate content, Google's confused. It's giving this content higher position this week, next week is that, and then it never stays there, right? Backlinks is also important. Google tried to remove backlinks. They tried it. The results are not good still, so they're keeping it still for now. Maybe in the future, but for now, backlinks are still going to be important. But it's not the amount of backlinks, I would say. It's really the quality of links. That's going to be important. And then you can also use SEO tools to measure the authority scores or the SEO score. That kind of tells you, how many good quality links are linking to that site. And essentially, it's really how much traffic they're getting. Because usually the sites with the most traffic, like Wikipedia, Facebook, right, Google, they usually have high authority because there's just so many links to their properties. So that's really how it works. Last but not least, I don't think I really need to talk about layout design. It really depends on what the audience needs, because you can easily customize these days. And back then, it's always a lot of these templates. I recommend go more towards customized approach, because every audience, every client has different needs. Okay. So it's really hard to just say, hey, we're going to use the same template with our other client and then with you. From my experience, it's better to go tailor and customize. So how do you make one? There's two ways. One is automatic, right? Integrated way, where you just integrate the data tools together. You definitely want to consider integrating Google Search Console because it has keyword data, the clicks, impression, all that. But because most people use GA to get the most accurate data, Google Analytics, well, Google Search Console is free, and this discrepancy in why Google Search Console data doesn't match up with Google Analytics. So I would still recommend to use both at least, because GA can still get into issues. Google Search Console sometimes can get into issues. At least Google Search Console is not really your problem, because you can't really tweak it other than making sure your technical issues are okay. If it's technical issues, then that's our problem. GA, on the other hand, if you don't tag it right properly in the profile settings, then it can lead to incorrect data that's showing. So I would recommend to look at both to make sure your information is actually data is correct, because you could have wrong information GA and you've been following for the whole time thinking it's right. But if you don't reference other tools to double check, then that's why people are going the wrong direction. And the third last important tool is to have an SEO tool that tracks your keyword rankings, because even though Google Search Console has kind of like an average position, it's not accurate. It's not as accurate, right? It's just an average number. So you want an SEO tool that's going to be able to tell you it's not 100% accurate either, but more close to accurate ranking positions. And it also can tell you a lot of these SEO tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, there's other ones too. They can tell you technical issues and backlinks. So you can all integrate those data all together into a dashboard such as Google Looker Studio and Power BI. So yeah, it really depends on what you need. You can customize these reports these days a lot more now too, because of the capabilities of Google Looker Studio and Power BI. From my understanding, Power BI has stronger capabilities, but I mean, recent updates from Looker Studio, I think it has definitely caught up more. However, it is a cheaper solution to use Looker. I think still Power BI is kind of expensive because it's really based on how many users that need to use the account. But yeah, and then there is still manual way to do it. I know, because of just specific niche needs from clients or C executives, and that these automated tools can probably still not do the job yet. It will eventually when AI is integrated. I'm sure that will make automatic report even better than manual reports. But there are perks of manual reports because it's just there's no limitation on what you can do with manual. So I tend to do both, right? So in my opinion, automatic reports dashboards is really for like those frequent checkups. Like weekly, you want to look into the performance, then probably want to use this, right? There's no way you can do weekly reports manually. You won't have time unless you have a large team. For customized report is really to help you really dig deep down, because some of these automatic dashboards, it's still kind of hard to see some data and insights because they're still templated, and the way you want to look deeper into the tools, even though you integrate these data, there are still data that it's not able to integrate into the dashboards. All right, so yeah, this is all I have for SEO reports. If you guys have any other questions about it, reporting, if you like this video, make sure to share your feedback with comments, and share this on your other social platforms like Facebook and Twitter, or any other platforms. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and for more upcoming SEO related video topics. Tune in, and peace.